up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Got Next podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Baldwin, with my co-host, Donovan Moore.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's time, man.
Yep. We got Ben and Buzz Nate Ash back on the show with us, man. Say what's up, B.
How y'all doing? It's been a while, but I'm glad to be back.
Back on it, man, for week 13. You know, we got our matchups coming up, so make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, all that type of stuff. Make sure you follow us on the socials, man, Instagram and TikTok at the Got Next podcast. And without further ado, let's get into the intro.
Three-pointers. Outside jumper for three at the bucket.
All righty, guys. Without further ado, let's get into the bye weeks for this week before we start off with the matchups. We got the Bills, the Bears, the Raiders, the Vikings, the Giants, and the Ravens on bye this week. If you guys have any of these, any players of these teams, make sure you sub them out because you don't really want to zero in your box, especially at this point. Pause. Especially at this point of the season. All righty. So, first matchup that we have for the week, like B said, man, we're going to start off with the Cowboys versus the Seahawks, man, or Seahawks versus Cowboys, you know. I'm going to go ahead and start off here. Cowboys, man, I don't even think that this is really much of a matchup. The Seahawks, man, love the roster. Somehow just does not translate to the field for some reason. Geno Smith looks like Geno Smith before last season. And I feel like that has a lot to do with why the Seahawks look the way they do. So, you know what the Cowboys are going to do to teams that aren't good for the most part or aren't above 500. You know what's going to happen. It's going to be a shellacking. And that's kind of what I see happening here, at least 15 points maybe. I don't know if it's really good, particularly close. But I could see it going the other way. Again, the roster is really good. I don't know why it doesn't translate. It might translate this week. I'm not counting on it. Cowboys.
Yeah, simple formula for Cowboys and sports bettors who want to bet on the Cowboys. Whenever they play an inferior opponent at home, always bet on the Cowboys. And 9 out of 10 times bet on the money line too. You saw what the Cowboys did to the Rams. You saw what they did to Washington. It's probably a little worse than the Rams, but still, when they play an inferior opponent at home, they'll win. The Seahawks got a chance at making the playoffs, but they're not as good as the Cowboys. We all know the Cowboys on the road against the better team's a different story, but when they're at home against an inferior opponent, go with them all day long.
I agree. I think Dallas is going to win, but I don't think it's going to be as a big of a blowout as you all may think. Dallas, in every loss they've had this year, has been to a team with a winning record, and the Seahawks do have a winning record. They're no pushover. They have a strong defense. Dallas will definitely win the game because Geno Smith hasn't been the same as what he was last year for that Seattle team, but I think it could be closer than some people expect. I like Dallas for sure at home, though.
Are they 6-5? Is that what it is? What's their record?
Yeah, 6-5.
Okay, cool. I thought it was 5-6 in my head. I said below 500, so that's my bad. They are above 500, but it's close. It is close. Next, we have the Chargers and the Patriots, guys. I mean,
we got to talk about this. This ain't no slam dunk.
I was dead 2 seconds from saying this is easy. It's really not. But B, go ahead, talk to me.
Oh, my roommate Hollywood's going to the game, man. I feel bad for him that he's taking this risk, but because the Chargers, you know, we thought they were going to beat the Packers, and they didn't. We thought, you know, when they play inferior teams on the road that they'd win, but they just don't. The Chargers are a problem, and that will be a head coaching vacancy after this year, guaranteed. I'm surprised it isn't one right now, to be honest with you. But anyway, the Patriots look really bad this year. So, I mean, I kind of want to pick them just because the Chargers are the type of team that would lose to a team like the Patriots. But the Patriots don't even know who's going to be playing quarterback for them, and, you know, it's a bad option either way. I can't see the Chargers going on a 4-game losing streak and, you know, losing to all these bad teams, but I guess I'll take the Chargers by default. This really is a terrible matchup.
I agree. It's a terrible matchup, but I'm going to have to go with the Chargers as well. I think the Patriots are just so much worse that it's ridiculous. I at least thought they would beat the Giants last week, and to see a Belichick-led team lose to a third-string undrafted rookie, that was pretty crazy. I'm going to go with the Chargers, but if they somehow happen to lose this game, Brandon Staley probably will not be on the flight back to California with a job. So, Chargers.
I really want to pick the Patriots there. I'm not going to do it though. That's nasty. The Chargers. Again, I think like Dono said, it's just such a drop off in talent here that the Chargers aren't very good, but they aren't like one of the worst teams in the NFL. Technically, like the Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They have probably the worst QB play right now, and that's saying a lot in a league where Zach Wilson is starting. So I'm going to obviously go with the Chargers here, but gonna say I see the Patriots maybe putting up a fight. I don't see that either. So moving on to the next one. We have the Lions and the Saints. Both of these teams, meh. The Lions, they started out kind of hot. They're kind of losing some games here and there. There's a lot of people starting to lose, belief that they had at the beginning of the season. B, are you still believing in the Lions in this?
I believe what I believed before the year. I said the final four teams in the NFC were going to be Eagles, Niners, Cowboys, and Lions, and I still think it's that exact order. Nothing's really proven me otherwise, but I think the Lions will win this game just because the Saints, the whole NFC South is junk, man. It's going to be the Cowboys are going to destroy the winner of that division in the first round, just like they did last year. Could be the Bucs again. It could be the Saints. It could be the Falcons. Someone's going to win that division by the record of 8-9 or 9-8. And it's looking more like 8-9 at this point. And I think that's a competition between the Saints, Falcons, and Bucs. Obviously, it's not the Panthers. We all know. But, give me the Lions. They usually don't lose back-to-back. They don't lose back-to-back this year. And they took a tough loss last week. It showed they're not, really on that level yet. But they're still better than the Saints. I mean, let's be real. Jared Goff's better than Derek Carr. The Saints, Michael Thomas past his prime. Kamara's starting to look past his prime. Saints really just got Marshawn Lattimore and Chris Olave. That's pretty much all they got. The Lions got more weapons.
Yeah, this is a toss-up because you just don't know what Saints team you're going to get on a weekly basis. After that dud they put up against the Falcons, the Saints are back at home. I could see them winning this. But just with the way Derek Carr's been playing this year, I'm going to have to go with the Lions as well. This will be a very close game. The Saints have a strong defense, but their offense just won't be able to do enough. I think the Lions will win, but the Lions, they've kind of been underwhelming the last few weeks, maybe playing down their competition. So I think they could keep the Saints in it just with how they've been playing down the teams, but I think they'll prevail in the end.
I'm going to go with the Lions here. Again, I don't know what I'm going to get from the Saints on a week-to-week basis. Derek Carr does not look very good right now. So I don't know how I could possibly pick the Saints. Going with the Lions in this matchup. Next up, we have the Falcons and the Jets. Not a lot of good QB play here, guys. So, B, who you got?
This is tough because I know Aaron Rodgers really wants to make that December 15th return against Washington, but it's almost like, is it even going to be worth it at this point? And it's certainly not looking that way. The Jets are 4-7. The Falcons are at least still kind of competing for a division title for as bad as they are. I want to pick the Jets because I feel like they might make things interesting, but I feel like their defense has given up. Their defense was the strength of their team. They've let up 30 the last 2 weeks. Granted, it was against the Bills and Dolphins, two of the most explosive offenses in the league. But when your offense is constantly punting the ball, your defense is, and your record's 4-7, your defense is just going to throw in the towel eventually. And it looks like that's kind of what the Jets have done. And like I said, the Falcons are competing for just a little bit more, so I'm going to go with the Falcons.
I'm actually going to take the Jets in this one. I know their offense has been extremely shaky. It's not good quarterback play at all. But at the same time, the Falcons' QB situation has been shaky as well. And one thing the Jets have that I think can stop the Falcons is a strong defense. The Falcons really rely on ground control, run the football, don't let their quarterback make many mistakes. And I feel like the Jets have the defense that can really stop that run game and make Ritter beat them. And I just think in the end, the Jets can maybe pull this one out. Their defense will make a few plays. They hung in there with the Dolphins for the most part without that Hail Mary for a pick six. Who knows what would have happened in that game. So I'm going to go with the Jets in this one. But this is kind of a pick 'em in my opinion.
Much agree there. No, I think this is definitely just a pick 'em here. You know what? Give me the Falcons, man. I'm just having some fun here. Give me the Falcons. I like what I saw last week. Whenever they decide that they're fully going to commit to running the football, seems like it works out pretty good. Bijan Robinson looked pretty good. Tyler Algier, obviously, and then Cordell Patterson's even getting some snaps here and there. It's crazy to see, but you see them fully committing to the run. So, and it's been working for them recently. So I'm gonna rock with the Falcons in this matchup just to be different. Next up, we got the Cardinals versus the Steelers. Who you got here in this one, B? I know this is your team.
Could this finally be the game the Steelers just win a game decisively? I think if there was ever an opportunity, it would be this. The Rams absolutely obliterated the Cardinals last week, and Matthew Stafford looked like Super Bowl champion Matthew Stafford. He threw 4 tutties. Now, obviously, we just made a change at offensive coordinator. Didn't really make a difference in the point total, but we did have 400 yards and outgained our opponent for the first time all year. So that was a positive sign. Pat Freiermuth had 120 yards. I was starting to think he might have not been such a relevant tight end, but we got him the rock. I don't see how the Cardinals can beat the Steelers, even though you would think with the Steelers offense that, any game could potentially be a 50-50 game, but I just don't see it how the Cardinals are one of the worst teams in the league. I think the Steelers finally get a decisive victory.
I agree. I'm going with the Steelers as well. The AFC is looking very muddled up in the wild card position, so you can't really drop a game like this. You guys are at home as well?
Yeah,
you can't drop a game like this at home to the Cardinals, who obviously are in a rebuilding situation. I'm going to go with the Steelers here, but as long as y'all don't let Kyler Murray get loose, they can maybe make things interesting, but I'll still go with the Steelers at home. Strong defense, and maybe the offense may actually be competent now, so I got the Steelers.
I actually had Pat Freiermuth on my waiver wire last week, and I was looking, and I'm like, I know that they just fired Matt Canada, and everybody's excited. This is going to be the new offense. Boom, goes off for 20. I decided not to pick him up though because I had Taysom Hill. He'd been kind of going off a little bit there. Didn't add him, so he's on my waiver priority right now. Hoping to get him tomorrow, see him on the team. But that just kind of speaks to overall what the offense looked like last week. I mean, it looked a lot better. Najee Harris looks like he's back. It looked like he just couldn't really run, and then all of a sudden he's back. Jaylen Warren looks good. I love the two-man run tandem right there, and everything looks pretty solid for him. I'm gonna go ahead and pick him here. Kyler Murray's looked pretty good as well, but I know the Cardinals are a little beat up right now, so gonna ultimately rock with the Steelers in this matchup. Got the Colts and the Titans now. B, talk to me.
This is a tough game. Obviously, I hope the Titans win because I know the Colts are kind of competing for that, wild card position. It could make things easier for the Steelers. The Titans win. It's kind of, like I said, 50-50 division rivalry. I'm going to pick the Titans. They're at home. The Colts beat them in a close game in Indianapolis. I think the Titans beat them in a close game in Tennessee.
I think all the Titans wins have been at home this year, haven't they?
Yeah. That was my point. That was really going to be my next point. Go ahead.
Wow. And no Jonathan Taylor for the Colts.
Zach Moss, though. He's no slouch.
You're right. I think this will be the Titans' first home loss. Just going off the trend of the Titans this year, they've kind of been like the same as maybe the Saints, so to say. Just kind of win one, lose one, win one, lose one. I'm just following that trend. I'm gonna have to go with the Colts here. Their first year coach, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's been coaching them very, very well, especially with Anthony Richardson going down earlier in the year. I like this Colts team. So they even got Jonathan Taylor to be convinced to stick around. So I mean, I gotta give the Colts their props. I think they'll win this game.
Going with the Titans here, ultimately because of that home record that B just that Donald just alluded to. Yeah, I mean it's night and day, honestly. It really is. At the Bucks, Derrick Henry goes for 3 fantasy points. The next week he goes for 5. That's combined 8. At home, he's at 20. He's at 16. He's at 19. He looks like the regular Derrick Henry. Like it's not only just the team. Like you even see it with the players. Like they play much better at home. Like I don't really know what the whole thing is there, but like they're a whole different team at home. So gonna pick the Titans here. I think that there's definitely a trend somewhere here. I'm gonna keep rocking with that. We got the Dolphins and the Commanders here. This is kind of funny after what I just saw from the Commanders last week. Go ahead, B.
I mean, it just kind of looks like the Commanders – or Donald, you go first. Your team.
This is your team. That's my bad. D.
There's nothing to say, bro. Dolphins.
Yeah.
Nothing to be said, bro. Nothing to be said. Go to the next man.
Yeah, I got nothing to say here.
Go to the next man. There's nothing.
No, that's crazy, bro. That's actually bro.
Nothing to say.
Yeah, next. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm picking the Dolphins too. You're not going to see me put a fight here.
Tyreek might get 150 yards apiece. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's a great week to start a lot of the Dolphins players. Now that you mentioned that, Tua will be starting.
Raheem Mostert.
Yes, Raheem Mostert should definitely have a big week. I agree.
He might get 2 touchdowns, maybe 3.
Next up, we got two hot games, kind of. I mean, the Texans have kind of cooled off, but they did play a good game last week. Let's make no mistake, it was a good game, but they did lose. The Broncos, obviously, on a 5-week win streak, I believe it is.
Hottest team in the league.
It's not, yeah, hottest team in the league right now. B, talk to me. Who you have in this? It should be a nice offensive matchup here, honestly.
I mean, let's roll with the Texans here. I think the Broncos are due for a loss. They have 3 straight road games coming up at the Texans, at the Chargers, at the Lions. I mean, if they happen to go 2-1 through this, or even 3-0, you know, maybe they're building something special there. But they certainly have been good to watch the last month and a half. They won some very close games. Russell Wilson is not the same Russ that he was in Seattle. However, he's making plays late in the game to win games because his defense is balling. Who would have thought, you know, the defense that let up 70 points in week 3 has really turned it around. But I think, you know, CJ Stroud and company has more to offer, especially on their home field. And I think, you know, both these teams are 6-5, so it's going to be a very hard-fought game. But give me the Texans at home.
I agree. I'm going to take the Texans at home as well. They really competed with the Jaguars down to the end of the game last week. They still could have almost had a chance to win it. Maybe should have went for it on that 4th down call, but that's neither here nor there. But I think Houston will get back on the winning track. They're a very solid team, so I think they'll win this week.
I want to pick the Broncos so bad, but I like the Texans roster too much for me not to pick the Texans. I think that Nico Collins, man, Tank Dell, dropped Tank Dell in fantasy a couple weeks ago, and I am very upset at myself. He's going off. So got to give the props where they're due. Schultz looks good. Devin Singletary looks way better than Damian Pierce so far. I like the Texans and what they have so far. So rocking with the Texans in this matchup. Next up, we got the Panthers versus the Bucks. B talk to me.
I just want to make a quick point here. The Panthers owner, David Tepper, he used to be a minority owner for the Steelers. We all know the Steelers have only had 3 coaches since the NFL merger in 1970. This man, David Tepper, leaves the Steelers to buy the Panthers. He's hired 6 coaches since, and 3 of them have been midseason firings. I don't know if this guy just never learned how to be an owner when he was under the Rooney's, shadow, but this guy's in panic mode all the time. And I think, the city of Carolina, or the city of Charlotte, I'm sorry, the Carolinas and, the fans are starting to lose faith in this guy. Frank Reich, I didn't think he was a great coach, but I definitely didn't think he was as bad as he was looking on the Panthers. I don't know who's going to want this job. I mean, he'll get paid after he gets fired. I guess that's a plus, but he's making the Panthers look like a very unattractive franchise. And like I said a couple of weeks ago, when we were the last time we were on the podcast, even though the Bucs aren't good, you got to give credit to them for kind of, not being as bad as people thought they'd be. They take care of business against inferior competition like this. So let's roll the Bucs. Baker's actually having a decent year. And Mike Evans, man, has he ever been more consistent?
Very true. Very true. I'm going with the Bucs as well. The Panthers are just in hell right now. So I'm going to go with the Bucs.
All right. Straight to it. Yeah, gonna go with the Bucs here. I mean, the Panthers. Can we talk the whole Panthers issue is not a Bryce Young issue. It's so much deeper than that. It's the ownership. It's the roster, which is ultimately chosen by the front office. It's disgusting, bro. How do you put together that roster, right? The roster that we're looking at, the O-line sucks. You got a rookie QB. You got 2 running backs that just aren't it. Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard, neither one of them have been able to get anything going here. You got Mingo on the outside. He's solid, but I mean, Adam Thielen, receiver. Like, look at the damn roster. The roster is awful, bro. And you're sitting here, you gave away your picks. You gave away DJ Moore. How are you going to get anything else in? Like, you're going to have to get rid of Brian Burns? Like, that's one of your best defensive players. You're going to have to lose more to eventually gain in the end. It makes no sense. And then you got a rookie like QB, and he's already having a bad year. You're going to bring in another head coach? Like, that's just going to – bro, you're just prolonging it even further. Like, what are they doing? It makes no sense.
And their number one pick goes to the Bears too.
Yeah, their number 1 pick goes to the Bears in the DJ Moore trade, which you should have never got rid of DJ Moore in the first place. I want to put that out there as well. Gave up Christian McCaffrey for a bag of chips. What are you doing? It makes no sense, bro. It makes no sense. Don't know what they're doing. They're clearly going to lose this week, and they are the worst team in the NFL. There's no question about it. It's nasty. It is nasty. Next up, we got the Browns and the Rams. The Rams looking pretty good last week. They didn't even need Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua really to do much last week, which is crazy. B, talk to me.
Yeah, like you just said, Mitch, it's starting to look like Cooper Kupp might have been a 1.5 year wonder, which is crazy because he was such a dog a couple years ago. But Stafford still had a great game last week without even throwing Cooper Kupp the ball. The Browns, on the other hand, have had a good year, but it's primarily off of defense and Myles Garrett mainly. They've suffered some bad injuries to quarterbacks and obviously Nick Chubb early in the year. I heard Joe Flacco, it's possible he might start this week, which is crazy because they just signed him off of waivers 2 weeks ago. The fact that Joe Flacco is even still playing right now is crazy enough because, let's face it, he can't get it done. But he might be a playoff quarterback this year. Who knows? You got to win games like this. Actually, surprisingly, I'm going to take the Browns in this game, even though the Rams are hot. I feel like the Rams aren't that good, low key, and then the Browns are going to force some turnovers, and they're going to win just because of their defense. It would be ideal for the Browns not to win as a Steelers fan, but I sense an upset. I don't even know if that's even an upset, but I assume the Rams have earned the right to be favorite for this game now. But I'm gonna go with the Browns.
I agree. I'm gonna take the Browns as well, just strictly off of their defense. They have all the remedies to beat the Rams, and the Rams are a very inconsistent team. Like, of course, they looked good last week versus the Cardinals, and they could turn around this week. Matthew Stafford could throw 2 picks, fumble the ball, and then who knows where it goes from there. I think the Browns defense will force some turnovers. They have a strong secondary and a strong D line, which I think is more than enough to beat this Rams team as it's currently state. So I got the Browns.
B, did you say Joe Flacco will be starting at QB for the Browns?
Either him or PJ Walker, and I saw a rumor they might be leaning towards Joe Flacco.
Give me the Rams. Give me the Rams. I love what the Rams have on paper. Obviously, like Donovan said, they are very inconsistent. I don't know what I'm going to get from the Rams on a consistent basis. But look, they got Kyron Williams, beast last week. All right, absolutely, and it was a beast honestly before he got injured. So I mean, overall, just beast this season. Cooper Kupp, if you're not throwing him the ball and you're winning games, I mean, if he gets the ball a little bit more, Puka Nacua has the ability to play well, So I'm going with the Rams here. I don't feel super confident in it, honestly, but I like it. I like it for this week. I'm going to go with it. Next up, fellas.
Ooh, game of the year, man.
Oh yeah, this right here determines a lot, fellas. A lot is waning on this game right here. B, talk to me. Who do you have in this big matchup?
Well, I'll just first of all say the fact that the Eagles, the way they won their last 2 games against the Chiefs and Bills, kind of makes them look unbeatable in some ways. It's elevated Jalen Hurts to the MVP favorite, and I never would have thought that after he had that piss poor performance against the Jets. But Jalen really. It's kind of the Eagles are kind of looking like the same team they were last year, like best team in the league in the regular season. Jalen Hurts was the MVP favorite until he had the shoulder injury late in the year. Then he got surpassed by Mahomes. This is turning out to be a great game. The Niners are actually favorite for this game, which is surprising because we saw what happened last year in the NFC Championship. But I guess it's because the Eagles defense does not look half as good as they did last year. They're letting up a lot of points, and the Niners have the defense to where they're not going to, allow Jalen Hurts to go off as hard as he did the last 2 weeks. So really a 50-50 ball game. I want to pick the Niners. I want to hop on that bandwagon because everyone is picking them, it seems like, but I'm actually going to go with the Eagles. I can't go with them I can't go against them until they lose.
This is going to be a physical game. This is going to be – I feel like the Niners have been looking forward to this game since last year. But I'm going to have to agree with you, B. I'm going to have to go with the Eagles as well. I can't go against them until they give me a reason to. Against the Chiefs all game, it looked like they were going to lose, and they still found a way to win. Albeit the Chiefs made some mistakes, but you got to give credit to the team that won the game, which was the Eagles. And the same thing last week with the Buffalo. Buffalo, Josh Allen threw a one-way, Gabe Davis went the other way. Buffalo could have walked it off with a win. But at the same time, you got to give the Eagles their credit. They found ways to win. So I'm going to have to take the Eagles at home here. I think they'll find a way to win, but this is going to be a really great game. I'm just excited to see it regardless. But I forgot the Eagles.
My bad. I forgot to say, by the way, the Niners have never lost a game that Brock Purdy, McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and Trent Williams have completed from start to finish. They've never lost a game like that. Obviously, the NFC Championship last year, Brock Purdy goes down, then Josh Johnson goes down. But just wanted to throw that in there before Mitch makes his pick.
Can we agree that this might be the hardest game we've had to pick all season?
Game of the year.
Yeah.
was never a math whiz, guys. I'm going with the 49ers. All right. I'm picking the 49ers. All right. I love the roster, guys. From top to bottom to the coach. It's beautiful. How can I pick against that team, man? The Eagles, obviously, they've won. They've had some impressive dubs and stuff like that. But this, I don't know if they've seen quite a test like this. You know what I'm saying? Especially since last year. So I'm going with the 49ers in this one. I think that Christian McCaffrey is going to be hard to stop. And while the Eagles, their offense and stuff looks good, they're giving up I think the most points in the NFL. I mean, and the most yardage in the NFL right now, 29th or something like that. Their defense is not very good. So, I mean, if long as Brock Purdy doesn't make a lot of mistakes, which I believe he is a top-tier game manager, I don't think he will make a lot of mistakes. And he'll get the ball to his playmakers, and I think it'll be a good game. And it should be a lot of points here for fantasy, guys. I'm going to go with the 49ers, and I feel pretty confident in it. I'm not going to lie. I like it. And I'm a little bit different from you guys. I like that as well. All right. Chiefs, Packers. B, the Packers actually did look pretty good last week. Jordan Love looked solid. Looked like he did in the first couple of weeks. B, are you picking the Packers against the Chiefs?
Well, first of all, what you said is exactly right. Not only did the Packers look impressive, they actually have a chance to get the final seed in the NFC this year, which you wouldn't have thought, a few weeks ago. They've really, strung together some wins. Matt LaFleur is looking like a legit coach. Obviously, I don't know if Jordan Love's going to be Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers then, but he is no slouch. Colin Cowherd and all these other pundits who said they got to get rid of him after this year are wrong. He should be their quarterback next year. The Chiefs, I think, are going to lose one more game this year, and it's either going to be this game or to the Bills because the rest of the Chiefs' schedule is cake. So, I think they lose one more game. So I really want to pick the Packers, but I'm just not going to just because – I don't know, man. The Chiefs have kind of been win-loss the last couple games, and I know they just win way more than they lose. So I can't see this win-loss thing continuing. They won their last game against the Raiders, so I think they, get back on winning streaks. And I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be more competitive than people think, but give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs as well. The Packers have been playing some great football these last few weeks to go into Detroit on Thanksgiving and just upset them. You could tell they still believe in their coach. It seemed like they're clicking at the right time, but the Chiefs are kind of just like a different animal. I'm not saying – Detroit did beat the Chiefs, so crazier things have happened. It's the NFL. It's an any given Sunday league, as everybody says, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one. I just think they just – I don't know. It's the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs.
Yeah. If the Chiefs are to lose another game this year, it's not this one. I got the Chiefs. Last but not least, we have the Bengals versus the Jags. After what we saw from the Jags, is anybody picking the Bengals in this matchup?
I just want to say we all know why they made this game. Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, that was their intention. They played in the national championship in college, LSU, Clemson. They wanted to make it an atmosphere like that, but a significant piece of the pie is missing, and that's Joe Burrow, which probably doesn't make this a game. So I like you said, Mitch, I think, we're all in agreement on this.
If Joe Burrow was healthy, though, this would have been another great game.
It would have been like the Monday Night Football.
This would have been
Monday Night Football games of the year.
Yeah, but he's not, so Jaguars.
The game that never was.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a pretty sad note to end the show off on there, but that's what we got for you this week. So, does anybody else have anything to say?
If the Dolphins blow the Commanders out, I think Ron Rivera will be fired this week.
Oh, yeah. What do you think about Jack Del Rio getting fired now that since we're on the subject of head coach firings?
Somebody had to be the scapegoat for that 45-10 massacre. Of course, you're going to go to the defensive coach who, the defense is last in the league, and you just let up 45 to your arch rival on Thanksgiving. Millions of families watching at home with their loved ones, expecting a good Thanksgiving. But, somebody had to go. Somebody had to go.
I agree completely there. Hey, maybe we'll have an episode soon talking about which coaches are going to get fired at the end of the year. That might be an interesting one right there, because I think there's going to be about 7 vacancies.
I feel like we already know who, for the most part, is going to be fired.
Yep, I think the big question lies in New England if that change is going to take place or not.
I think they'll let him go out. I think they'll let him go out gracefully. They'll let him.
They'll let him retire before they fire him. They won't fire Belichick. I feel like they'll do something behind closed doors, like, hey, can you just resign or retire? They're not going to go out and say we fired Bill Belichick.
Well, Belichick might want to coach a different team too, which is funny. He might want to coach the team that he's facing this week next year. That might be, go to LA. Justin Herbert might. You know, it might be an
They
ideal
could
situation for
They
him.
could use him out there. Don't let him be the GM. Do not let him pick a
Oh
soul.
hell! Do not let him pick any talent. Keep him away from talent.
Just let
Either
him,
Michael Jordan-
just let him coach that horrid defense. That's still
Still
got
got
teams on it.
defense with
Yeah.
Bosa and Khalil Mack. Let him coach that defense, but do not let him draft a player.
Facts. Now he's Michael Jordan when it comes to roster production, for sure.
Hell
That's-
yeah. Go
that
to
is
this
mad.
position, but does not know how to construct a
Look at
roster.
Kwame Brown.
Nah, for real. I don't know if I've ever said it on the show. How do you look at a Michael Kidd Gilchrist workout and be like, "That's our guy. That's him." Makes no sense. That jump shot is ugly. That's gonna do it for this edition of the Got Next podcast, guys. Week 13 matchups. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, man. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, all that type of stuff, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Yes, sir.